Evening, IHSA football family. Yes, it's early. It's 6:46 right now. If you get the stuff done, get it out of the way. And remember, you can fast forward rewind this if you're watching this at 7:15, 7:30, 8 o'clock. So, again, just a quick reminder. All right, let's get started. My name is Peter Limber, aka Coach Big Pete of DeepDishFootball.com. Make sure you follow Coach Big Pete and Deep Dish Football on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. My email is CoachBigPeteFP@gmail.com. Again, September is Childhood Cancer Awareness Month. I'm not taking any donations, any tips. Please look at St. Jude's Children's Hospital. They do a wonderful job. Check it out. How you doing, Sisson? Check it out. St. Jude's Children's Hospital. They do a wonderful job. They help out families that can't afford any of the medical bills and that. Please check it out. St. Jude's Children's Hospital. It's also childhood and also pediatric cancer awareness month. That's why you see all the gold ribbons and that. So please definitely check it out. And again, first of all, I forgot what I was going to say. Just the mental block right now. Was it Breakfast with Coach Big Pete, Saturday, 9 a.m. at the Coach Big Pete Facebook page. DuPage Run and Shoot Show with my co-host, Patrick Codo, who does a wonderful job. He's out of Naperville Community Access Television. He does a wonderful job, graduate of SIU. We talk DuPage County football. We also talk IHSA football. Make sure you're following DuPage Run and Shoot on Twitter and Facebook as well. The episode usually comes out about 10 p.m., 9 p.m., if I can get it fully published, because literally YouTube is a pain in the ass. And that's the honest truth. It literally is a pain in the ass. Also, again, Friday night, people ask me, well, how did we nominate for Deep Dish Football Player of the Night in the state of Illinois on Friday night? I need those nominations at 10 p.m., after 10 p.m., after the game is done. If you had a kid that had a big game, coaches, or teammates, if you had a friend who had a big game, parents, if you had a son or kid that had a big game, fans, if you know a kid that had a big game, please let me know to nominate your player for Deep Dish Football Player of the Night. I need those nominations before midnight so I can decide who wins the Deep Dish Football Player of the Night in the state of Illinois. Also, and again, we get into this. After that, I do a Sunday conclusion article. I published an article about Sunday morning, 8:10 a.m. I need those stats. I need those stats. Please let me know. And I need the game filmed by at least by Tuesday so I can send them out my Sky Notes to college coaches. Please get me the info. It'll help out a lot. Trust me, it helps out a lot. And again, DM me, tweet at me. My email is CoachBigPeteFP@gmail.com. That's CoachBigPeteFP@gmail.com. Make sure I have the information. Please, I beg of you. All right, so we get into the Friday nominations. Deep Dish Football polls start next week from 1A to 8A. I will be doing top 10 teams in the state of Illinois, as always, on week 4. Coming out probably Wednesday afternoon, Wednesday morning, right around from 10 to 12-ish is when the polls will come out for the Deep Dish Football IHSA polls 1A to 8A. And besides that, and of course, I hate to do this. We gotta talk about this as always. Now I've gotten some complaints, and I think I've gotten complaints about this every year, of why do I cover losing teams? Losing teams are still part of the IHSA. Losing teams are still part of the Illinois high school football scene. Again, for Illinois high school football to be a healthy scene, you have to cover all teams. And I know there was a lot of complaints that I talk more about the Chicago Catholic League and the ESCC. Please understand, I have a limited amount of time, and Illinois is a big state. I talk Northern Illinois, I talk Central Illinois, I talk Southern Illinois, I talk Chicagoland, I talk Peoria, I talk Bloomington, I talk about everything. So please understand that. Please, for the love of everything holy, I cover everything. So please pay attention and understand I cover all the teams. I know there's a lot of people that bitch and complain. Well, you couldn't cover the you couldn't cover this you couldn't why'd you cover this team? We got a better winning record. I cover all the teams in the interesting games. There's a games where you just see and you automatically know are going to be a blowout. There literally is going to be a blowout. I'm not going to really talk about them. I'm going to talk about games that are interesting. So please understand it. Also, we'll be talking more and more about the playoff predictions as we get playoff pairings as we get into the later weeks and the potential playoff pairings as well. Still don't know about the whole classifications until I think we get a better deal about week 6, week 7, especially up with the CPS as usual. And again, I say this all too. Parity is a great thing in Illinois high school. In high school football, simple. It is the most important thing. You have to understand that. This is going to be big. If you have a losing team the last season and they're good the next season, that's a good thing for Illinois high school football. Having the same old good teams that just absolutely rock, that's good. But having losing teams that win, that get into the playoffs, that haven't been in the playoffs for 10 years, 12 years, 9 years, 8 years, 7 years, that is a good thing. That's a healthy Illinois high school football scene. Please understand that. So please, I'm going to keep telling you this, guy. I'm going to keep telling you guys this. Please understand. A good team is awesome. A bad team from last year that has had success this year is a good thing for Illinois high school football. So please understand that. Okay. All right. So let's get started. Deep Dish football games of the week. First week game, Deep Dish football game of the week, Morris versus Kaneland. I'm excited about this game. Again, Kaneland, they had a tough loss to Geneva last week. Morris is looking unbelievable. Budden is going to be a huge star for this Morris team. I'm expecting a little more pressure on Budden from the Kaneland defense, again, especially boxing up that defense. This is going to be a big-time game and definitely a game to keep an eye out for. Thank you so much for the Morris players and the Kaneland players that I talked to. Definitely keep an eye out for this game. I'm expecting both teams to make heavy runs in the playoffs. When they get into the playoffs, definitely pay attention to that as well. Batavia versus Wheaton North. Batavia, tough loss to Lincoln Way East last week. Batavia, Wheaton North rocking that 2-0 record like it's nobody's business. And we're talking about a very important game for Wheaton North, a proving point against a tough Batavia team that's pissed off that they lost last week. This is definitely a big game we need to watch. So please pay attention to this game. I think Batavia, they came back in the second half. No doubt about that, but just couldn't do it fully. And Lincoln Way East, they look good. And their quarterback, Tisher, is looking really good this year. So definitely you got to pay attention to. Nazareth versus Marist, as you know, the rankings just came out and they still got Naz at number 1. A little bit weird, but Nazareth is going to be probably one of the more impressive teams this coming year. I know they had a tough loss to Lamont last week. They will be playing Marist, and the Marist Redhawks look very, very interesting. They had a tough loss in the first week against Glenbard West. Believe very interesting, especially if Nazareth Logan Michalek is looking to have a big game. Definitely thing you got to check out for as well. Lyle versus Reed Custer. Lyle needs this win. Reed Custer is looking unstoppable right now. I think the big game between is Reed Custer versus Wilmington in the coming weeks. Lyle's got to do something. And the Reed Custer passing attack with Jacob McPherson has looked unbelievable. So definitely a big game. Oregon versus Stillman Valley. Stillman Valley got the big upset first week against Bryan. Oregon got the big win last week. Interesting game. Oregon, new head coach. But again, Stillman Valley's looking really good this year. And definitely interesting team up north. Normal versus Normal West. Big rivalry game, as always. Normal, they had a tough loss in the first week Normal West is very impressive with their speed on the outside. Should be a good game. Johnson City versus Fairfield. Johnson City is undefeated. Fairfield lost their first game last week. Um, they lost the first game. They lost the first game last week. Interesting team. Johnson City. They graduated Austin Brown. They look even. They look even better. Definitely a thing that you got to check out for as well. Rochester versus Springfield High School. Rochester rocking the 1-1 record. Springfield, John Habe, and again a very interesting position at quarterback. They lost. Rochelle graduated. It'll be an interesting game, but again, Rochester they look good. I think the loss against Sacred Heart Griffin really helped them out. Just getting them more focused in that. So, St. Teresa versus Central A&M. St. Teresa, Royce Harper, just that whole team is looking great. Central A&M had a hell of a game last week. Put up some big numbers on the board. Definitely a big small school game in Central Illinois. Glenbar North versus Geneva. Glenbar North 1-1. Geneva 2-0. Geneva had the big win over Canelan last week. Came back after trailing, and it is Geneva to me again. Quarterback is looking great. This Geneva quarterback, I think it was like 4 or 5 touchdowns he threw against the tough Canelan defense as well. And Glenbar North, this is going to be a big time game for them in that Duquesne Conference, and this is a battle of two teams that definitely need that win just to get a one-up in that conference. St. Charles North versus Wheaton Warrenville South. Wheaton Warrenville South beats Neuqua Valley last week. St. Charles North again won last week as well. They lost their first week, which was a tough loss as well. This should be an interesting game. St. Charles North taking on the Wheaton Warrenville South Tigers, and again, Wheaton Warrenville South. The big thing was their defense, and their defense produced against Neuqua Valley's offense, which was quite impressive. And a big shout out to that defense of Wheaton Warrenville South. Huntley versus Prairie Ridge. Huntley looking good with San Delgado as the quarterback. Prairie Ridge looks unbelievable. Definitely a big time game right there. Prairie Ridge, Greenham, Vesey at their other running back as well. Definitely an interesting game as well. You gotta check it out. I forgot. There, put that down. Coal City versus Wilmington. Coal City 1-1. Wilmington 2-0. It'll be interesting to see how Coal City's offense responds against a tough, hard-hitting Wilmington defense. Always a big rivalry game in the interstate. Well, it's not the Interstate 8 anymore. It's the ICE now. I hate the new conference name. I really do. But again, it's going to be a big-time game. Coal City versus Wilmington. Streeter versus Herscher. Herscher had a loss. Streeter had a loss last week. This is a big game for Herscher. And again, I had Herscher as my surprise team this year in the Interstate. I keep saying Interstate 8, the ICE. So definitely a thing you have to check out. Marengo versus Richmond Burton, always an interesting game. Marengo got that first win that they needed last week. Josh Holst was the Deep Dish Football Player of the Night last week. Definitely going to be interesting as well. Definitely a player that you must know about this upcoming season. And this full season, I'm sorry about that. Richmond Burton looking just tremendous right now. Richmond Burton to me again is going to be an interesting game. And again, Richmond Burton could challenge for that state title. They are stacked at the line. Pekin versus Dunlap is always an interesting game. Kanye Tyler, he's having a good season. Dunlap, they had a tough loss last week, if I'm not mistaken. Definitely an interesting game as we get the Pekin Dragons and that grounded game against Dunlap's defense. Can they come back out of a tough game last week? Stevenson versus Lake Zurich. Stevenson High School had the big win, big passing attack. They killed it. They absolutely killed it. Projowski, I think he has 5 or 6 touchdowns, if I'm not mistaken. Their wide receiver, first-year wide receiver, former baseball player, had a huge game, 3 touchdowns, over 200 yards receiving. Stevenson's on a hot streak. Lake Zurich, their quarterback, the transfer from Carmel, he is doing an unbelievable job. This is definitely a must-watch game, and a game of in that conference, who can really challenge that Warren Township team? That's going to be the main question, as we talked about. Olympia versus Athens. Athens had a huge ground attack for these first 2 weeks. Olympia, you gotta love that team. Big offensive line. Blaine Helly leading them. It's going to be a big time game as Olympia takes on Athens. And again, Athens is it's a small school team, but could be an interesting team as we get into November with Olympia. And the big thing for Olympia is that passing attack. How does it through the maturation process as we get into the later months? Richards versus Eisenhower. Eisenhower, they're looking good this season. Richards has had a tough 2 weeks. This is a big time game for Richards. Eisenhower, their offense is firing on all cylinders. Love it, is looking great. Definitely a game you got to keep an eye out for. Big time rivalry game in the West Suburban Conference. Lyons Township versus Hinsdale Central. Lyons Township, good, looking really good. Quarterback Jackson, he's having a hell of a season. And this Hinsdale Central team, they needed the bounce back win, and they got the bounce back win. And this is going to be an interesting game. It's Lyons Township again, defensive line, offensive line. They got some big ones. Danny Zarko is one of them. Hell of a kid, hell of an athlete too. Hell of an offensive lineman. Definitely a thing you got to check out for as well. And we got some. Let's just wait. Sorry about that, guys. I apologize. So we have after that Richards versus OPRF versus Glenbard West, another big West Suburban Conference game. OPRF looking good again. Their guy Nichols, defensive back, he is looking special this season. And for Glenbard West, it's Glenbard West. They're 2-0. They beat DGS last week. They beat Marist first week, and they're looking like a state title contender. I think Glenbard West, out of all the teams, I think Glenbard West is the team that has the least amount of questions, to be honest with you. Their defense has outperformed their expectations. Their offense is looking just absolutely smooth. Corey Tay. This Glenbard West team is dangerous. It is a dangerous team. Quincy versus Moline. Quincy 2-0. Moline 1-1. I know I got laughed at because I said Quincy was a sleeper, and well, wait until they go against Moline. I'm telling you this right now. If Quincy wins, I'm gonna gloat. If Quincy loses, I'll eat crow. I will eat crow. I'll eat shit. I'm telling you right now. Don't sleep on these Quincy Blue Devils. Do not do it. Beardstown versus Route. Route's having to, I guess Route's going to be the next big team. I guess that's from all the message boards and forums and that. So definitely keep an eye out for Beardstown versus Route. Centralia versus Moscato, whatever. Centralia looking unbelievable. Their player, the running back Jackson or Johnson, I forgot his name. He had 6 touchdowns. He had 6 touchdowns. Definitely a thing that you got to check out. Codo is looking great again this year. Middleton, and I'm forgetting the second kid's name. It's a big game. Mount Carmel versus Niles Notre Dame. Niles Notre Dame 2-0. Had them as one of my surprise teams. They again have exceeded expectations. They face a very tough Mount Carmel Caravan team that wants that state title, and they're pissed off and they want it. So again, it should be interesting. Should be interesting to see what happens, especially in the first quarter. Because if Mount Carmel starts throwing up 14 points on the board into 0, it's going to be a tough game. Niles Notre Dame's defense has got to put a stop in that first quarter. They must establish their defense. That's going to be huge for them. Centralia, we talked about that. Marion Central Catholic versus St. Patrick, battle of 1-1s. Marion Central Catholic, you showed it up. You showed up. Quarterback had 8 touchdowns. St. Patrick High School lost to Niles Notre Dame last week. This is a big game. Big game for both 1-1s, and a big proving point for both teams. Downers Grove North, Downers Grove South is always a big rivalry game. That's why I put it up there. But DGS is on too. DGS, you got to do something. DGN, unbelievable. They're looking great this season. Sam Flynn, the wide receiver / DB, he's looking unbelievable for Downers Grove North. Sam Reichert as well. It's looking good for DGN, and they haven't had to pull up some of their stud sophomores and freshmen, and that's always a good thing. So DGN, like I said, had him as my surprise team. Got shit for it. Evanston versus Prospect. Prospect is absolutely blowing people out of the sand. Evanston got a big overtime win. I think it was in week 1. It was against the Wisconsin team. So Evanston versus Prospect, another interesting game. Montini versus Marmion Academy. We got the Montini Broncos with a 1-1 schedule. Marmion Academy 2-0. Big surprise team. We're going to see. This is a big-time game for Marmion Academy. This is a big proving point. I think they beat Montini last year. But I said this before. I like this Montini team this year than I did last year. I'm more impressed with this Montini team this year than I was last year. I see a team. I don't see individuals. I see a team. And, this Montini team, we'll see what happens. Definitely something to keep an eye out for. And they're coming out of, I think they're doing 3A if I'm not mistaken. So if they get into the playoffs, watch out. Ottawa Marquette versus Dare Creek Mackinac. Dare Creek Mackinac beat them last year. Big proving game for Ottawa Marquette and Coach Jobst. It could happen. In Ottawa Marquette, we trust. That's all I'm going to say. I'm going to piss a lot of people off. In Ottawa Marquette, we trust. Oswego East versus Plainfield East on a Thursday. There are 3 or 4 games being played on a Thursday in that Southwest Suburban Prairie Conference or whatever. Again, ref shortage is a bitch. So definitely, that's a big time. It's going to be an ever-developing big-time problem. Loyola Academy versus St. Rita. Big-time Chicago Catholic game. St. Rita got the big win for week 2. What's going to happen? Can this St. Rita team get the big upset against a Loyola Academy team that's really, really tough? Really tough. So we'll see what happens. It should be interesting. And I'm going to go down questions. I had to turn off the Instagram live because we got a bunch of jackasses on the thing. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask on the Deep Dish Football Facebook page. I know this is on the Coach Big Pete Facebook page, but let me try to see if I can get it on Deep Dish Football Facebook, Coach Big Pete Facebook page. I'm sorry. I apologize for that one. Let's see. I don't think I can. I got 2 questions here that I got from people. But if there's any questions, please ask on the Deep Dish Football Facebook page. Please. All right. Again, ask on the Deep Dish Football Facebook page, not on the Coach Big Pete page, because I can't see it. I can see it after the broadcast, but ask on the Deep Dish Football Facebook page. So we got the 2 questions, and again, ask questions on the comment section for the Deep Dish Football Facebook page. All right. What's with you and pumpkin spice? Dan out of Wheeling. I like pumpkin spice. I like the pumpkin flavor. I actually have a nickname. It's called Coach Pumpkin Spice that was given to me for my players. I've been made for my love of pumpkin and pumpkin spice. So yes, and people have called me the Peter, the pumpkin eater. Yes. And yes, I love pumpkin. I love pumpkin spice. And that's why I've had some complaints. Why do you do a pumpkin spice donut? Well, it worked in it worked in 2016, and for some reason it caught on in 2016. It caught on, and then it just became very popular. Really, it honestly really became popular. So, and coaches like it. I get shit for a few coaches that still haven't won the pumpkin spice donut award, and they said, we're going to win this game, and you're going to give me the award. And they end up losing. And there was one coach, He wanted the award 3 years ago, and he kept losing the big games. And then he finally won the big game last year, and he got this Pumpkin Spice Donut Award. And he was happy. He was very happy. Gave me a big hug on at the Glacier Clinic, coaches clinics in Oak Brook when I went to the coaching clinics in the winter, as I always do. From Kara Locke out of Lake Barrington. What high school's fans are the most obnoxious? Obnoxious? Obnoxious. Not really. I mean, the teenagers are teenagers. They're going to be they're teenagers. Adult fans, I'll say the Chicago Catholic ESCC. Some of those fans don't have a bearing on reality. They need to touch the grass. You got some fans that don't understand that this is high school football and not the NFL. That's one of my biggest gripes with a lot of fans. A lot of fans think this is the NFL. They believe that this is the NFL, and it's not. It's high school football. Mistakes are going to be made. The smallest things will happen. And you have a lot of people that are taking what they see from ESPN, the NFL Network, Fox, CBS, NBC, and they're taking that mindset and they're applying it to high school football. It shouldn't be done. Because it's not. High school football is a beast of its own. High school football is not NFL. It is not college football. And you have a lot of people that do not understand that. A lot of people. And they keep applying this mindset. And it doesn't work. And I mean, you see it also in some of the writers' writings of recruit writing and that. They're applying like what Mel Kiper said, and they're putting it there, and it makes no sense. And it's that's why I call it copy and paste articles, bullshit articles, simple as that. So you gotta understand, high school football is a whole different beast, and that's why I like high school football, is because there's more of a chance for, and I talked about this before the beginning of the show. There's more chance of an upset. There's more chance of a top team losing a game to an underdog. There's that mental the mental game in high school football is more than it is in the NFL or college. I'm going to tell you that right now. Let me tell you something. The scariest thing is taking a team to Wilmington and hearing those motorcycles. That literally scares the shit out of some of the kids. I coached at Westmont. It scared some of our kids. It got them annoyed. And it took their focus off the game. So, again, the mental aspect of this game is unbelievable. It's just that fans got to understand this is not the NFL. It's not college football. It's high school football. And mistakes are going to be made. And like, it's the first game. First game in 2018. There was a bunch of holding calls. I forgot what the game. I think it was Stevenson versus Palatine. And one parent was getting so angry. Why false start? And I felt like saying, it's the first game of the season. Nerves are uncool. Things are going to happen. People don't understand that. All right, so we have any questions on Facebook? I turned off the Instagram live because we got a bunch of jackasses. But yeah, so yeah, and I can't go to the Coach Big P thing because I have to stay on the other one because I know this video is published on the DuPage Run Shoot. But yeah, Morris Camden Deep Dish Football Game of the Week. It's going to be a good game. I'm excited to go. Deep Dish Football. DuPage Run Shoot Show tomorrow starts. When it gets published, about 10 p.m., 10:30 p.m. Depends on if YouTube is being a pain in my ass. Also follow Coach Big P and Deep Dish Football on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. My email is coachbigpete@fp@gmail.com. This is September. September is Childhood Cancer Awareness Month / Pediatric Cancer Awareness Month. If you like my work, feel free to leave a tip to St. Jude's Children's Hospital, as it is Childhood Cancer Awareness Month. Breakfast with Coach Big Pete, 9 a.m. every Saturday as well. And again, I need those nominations, players, coaches, parents, for Deep Dish Football Player of the Night on Friday night After the game, give me those big game stats before midnight. I need those big game stats so I can put the list of who the kids that had the big games and then select who's the deep dish football player of the night in the state of Illinois, 1A to 8A. I must know. I get people complaining, well, I'm like, when did you send me the information? 4 a.m. Well, it's the award is selected before that. I need the information. Anyone that had a big game, let me know. DM me, Facebook chat me. My email is coachmcpetefp@gmail.com. Tweet at me, Instagram me. Anything and everything, just let me know. Thank you guys so much for joining episode 3. I know this was a fast one. I know this started early. I do apologize. But again, busy schedule. Thank you guys so much. And I will see you in Morris Friday.